High center line position location is all levels of high setting. The recognition of speeders is high system. High calculation is all levels and how we use our formation locations and streams. Now, you have to understand how this is all set up in your position. The recognition line calculation high setting is how you see yourself in your vision. Okay, let's say you get a center calculation stream. Recognition locations all setting. All right. Now, if you look really close, you'll see it disappears there, and it's light. It's just very high lines communication of light. So the recognition line center line condition of 0. You see any vortex? Signal high center line condition of center. Right? See, look at that. See how it changes? Everything is a reflection. Everything is a reflection, right? So you really understand how the moon operates as line condition system location of 12 settings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, 12 graph lines. Each line is a representation to its line connection system. Alpha line is that location. Then we got communications of delta line in high position location. All right. And then calculation and interference. Now, set location high system, we got beta and set location and bottom signal. Now, this rotation spin is circle location setting. Okay. Now, the recurrent line calculation system is all about understanding how to use the beta to alpha to delta, and calculation line interference comes into box location into theta. Theta gets a high calculation system where it comes into gamma set position, and all calculations into radiation line setting. Okay, and that comes into magnum, line position ultra, and then it comes into the atmosphere lines and line communications into 4 set locations. So it comes into the atmosphere, hemisphere, hydrosphere. In calculation line interference, it comes into the biosphere, radiosphere, and it comes into higher calculation setting in track location. Right? So the recognition line calculation system is understanding how to use the wave set lines, the theta communication, gamma position location, and set location setting. Okay? All levels of radiation cycle line connection system. Block settings, high rotation interference, and position location line interference, line direct location set. Okay? All of those Magnus line calculation streamline. So it's mercury position line setting and its circle locations with 2 set line settings and rotation surface. Very powerful in set location, right? And then you got magma line connection high system looking at liquid location of planet surface and 2 solar settings. Set location, right? Direction line calculation system comes into higher settings. Now, once you get into the atmosphere line, it blocks its surface locations into 1 setting. Okay, that's line conditions of bottom line, equal line conditions into 1 set location. Now, you use the hemisphere lines, the circle line rotations into hydrosphere. Hydrosphere comes into the hieroglyphic line connection high setting in track locations and interference. This bounces communication system to all level settings. Then you come to the biosphere, line calculation system, the cryokinetics, high line position locations, hieroglyphics, line calculation system. Now this bounces out all line rotations into circle instead of location setting. Recognition high calculation system. So the sectors, line calculation system. You got sector here and you got vector here, position. Instead of locations, right? Sector and vector. Now sector and vector set line calculation high system, alpha line connection at 12. Setting line position at 12, 24 instead of location setting. Okay. Direction line calculation system consists of center lines of theta. That's 6 line conditions of 7 instead of location system. Centering calculations into 67 set lines of communication. All right, so in that line communication system, this is where it comes into pi recognition of time setting. Bounce calculations into beta and a rotation surface opens all levels of high set locations into 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 location. All right. Now that 7 location comes in line calculation setting. Now remember, we're on 67 line settings. In sector location at 12 lines, another 12 set locations, 24. Setting communication of vector line calculation is 24, 24, which is a 48 window. Right? Center calculation system is a 48,000 graph in 1 block center in 1 set location setting. Direction calculation interference. So what we're doing is the connections of sector lines of your positions of pi, directional location, and moon is in a film strip. It's coming into a rainbow stream. The rainbow stream is positions to its graph line connection system. So we're using a 24 line setting, moon in front, moon in back, side, and side set locations. That's in 24 signature lines in the CPU. CPU is coming back line calculation system. Everything's back at 0. So the center calculation of the grounds is at 0. The power recognition line condition is at 0, 1. And position locations into high line condition of the atmosphere is at 0, 0, 1. The whole idea here, guys, is to get the grounds, the powers, and the atmospheres into their 12 degree track line, into their own geographical line communications, into its setting, sector and vector, and position locations into 24 grounds, into 48 window settings. Okay, so the team is now on a 48,000 line stream. The project locations of light signature line calculation system comes into 6/7, 7 over lines of communications. 8 position line connections of space, 8 position line connections of time. The rectangle line calculation system puts you all position line directions into all setting. Okay, so setting and position location comes in all set location. Right, so it's already set up. Sector set up line position of 24, vector set up position of 48. The whole idea here is to get the grounds, the powers, and the atmospheres in set location, your perception lines, and how you see Earth's rotation surface into higher calculation setting. Gravitation to its gravitational pull releases position locations higher setting. Once you get in that line communication system, you change the zeros in set location line setting to the grounds, the powers, and the atmospheres. That's setting communication setting to all calculations to electronic set locations. So all your computers and all your phones are all back at 0 in set location. Setting direct line signals really understand how to set the location to its tone setting. Now we're in a 3-sector line stream. That sets line communication into 70. Once you get into 70, it's all data of information line calculation setting that all levels of your imagination. Okay? That's the calculation system when you come into line position locations. And then it comes into line calculations to all sets into your position locations. Okay, of your tracker settings, your DNA. Your DNA is already set up position location. Then that's how it sees line calculation. Okay, it's all set up. All right. There's a lot of construction going on in line communication. So anyway, line connection high setting and directions. All right, it's great to see everybody. Happy morning, happy smiles. All calculations, space rising, Trinity, how you doing? Heather, how's it going? All level system, Laura, Heather. Line condition high setting at Trinity, line position of captain, all set high setting. All direct signals and set locations. Let's see here, Danielle. Let's see here. Gypsy, yeah. Check your pre-flights and set location settings. So this is how it's set up lines now. Okay, grounds here, and grounds here. There's 3 ground settings. 0 line rotation, 0 line rotation, and 0 line rotation. 3 set locations, right? Now, 2 line settings and 2 panels. Operation surface. 1 Earth rotation. Okay. Center calculation is another rotation surface, which is a 4 setting. Now, setting position locations comes in high interference. So what we're doing is we're putting line calculation system in set location of 111, 112, 113, and 114. Everybody knows what that is, right? Setting into flux capacitor in set locations to all set lines of your seasons. So recognition line calculation is 111 into moon set location. Setting calculation another moon set locations into sector and position of vector and set location setting. High calculation line interference puts 1 position location of 12 DNA track lines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 set line connections 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 set locations in vector. So sector and vector. So there's 24 line setting into a 48 line window in set location high setting. High direct location signals in set location system in a higher calculation into its 12 line interrotations into 24 line communication setting in high set locations in the direction. Now that direct signals lets the line communication. So we got the 111. We bracket line interference of 3 set locations on top setting. 112 sets line position locations and 1 line interference, 1 position location, and 2 measure. Setting calculation system, open all track line calculation setting in direct location system. The 113 line centers bracket line communication system. So coming to calculation line interference, we come into all calculations of summer, spring, winter, and fall. Set of calculations in 111, 112, 113, and 114 in set locations. Bracket interference in 3 set locations. Heart, mind, and soul. It's all set up. Correction timelines in flux capacitor. Signaling positions back and forth, center calculation setting, circle line rotations, putting you guys in 3 lines and 2 line rotation interference and new position locations into connections to Pluto. Pluto set lines and ground line rotation. Center calculation. Triangulation of 3 set position locations and set position. Okay. So how you set up line communication in your seasons is all the recognition of weather patterns. High calculation setting, because you guys got 3 waving cycles modification line calculation system to come into your theta. Once we get into 70, everything through theta changes the grounds, the powers, the atmospheres, the side locations. We're changing the body conceptual location of the grounds. The direction location of the 0 line is back in setting. Rectangular line calculation system is all levels of 0 rotation surface in set locations. Done by equation, right? Now, getting line connection high setting is really understanding how to recognize these things in plateau. The plateau line interference, so you got plateau line setting, and rotation surface, equal line condition system position is 111. So we take the 1 line setting, which all calculation is summer, right? Summer neutralizes calculation of flux capacitor, mass, volume, and velocity position. Now, the velocity and the volume change line communication from 1 line into 3 position locations. So flux pass line position locations can diamond cord north into east, into west, and to the south line communication setting. Rotation surface comes into all calculation Fibonacci in 3 set locations. That's 3 equilines of north, equilines of west, and equilines of south in set location setting. Direction of the line calculation system puts all lines of 12 into 24, into 48, into 72, and into 144 calculation. Rotation surface line position location comes into plasma channel into a box location setting, a T reception line. That rotates its surface. Now, setting calculation system is travel line calculation system. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 set line calculations. So with 5 lines, equal lines of 2, 2 lines in a location of 7, circle line position of the levels. Opens all position location high setting. That rotates its surface, location equal line conditions of all levels of 5. 5 sets line position location of 12, 12 lines center location of DNA. DNA lines at rotation surface and set location setting, indirect location side interference. Setting direct location. Down by equation. All right. Setting weather patterns and seasons is all about recognizing the communications to its set location. So once you understand how to use the 111, the bracket line conditions is 3 line conditions of 112, sets line communication 1 line, and 2 line communication to Pluto of rotation surface. Setting position locations into factor line calculation equals pi. High center position locations, factor line calculation system into pi again. So that's 2 line signature line position locations in 1 setting. Records line calculation system, equal line conditions into 3 sets line position of 2, sets line communication. So it's in triangulation line center, 3 line position, 6 on top, 7 line setting and line interference in position of east, in position of west, which is 8 and 9 in center line conditions of ground lines, 0 operation surface. So we've got 0, 0, 0, 0, 4 lines in 3 set locations into a pyramid set in the diamond core line setting into all calculations setting rotation surface into a new plateau into a new metrical line communication system and 0 gravity line calculation of UFO rotation surface. All right, done by equation. It's all set up. All right, so we merge the calculations of 1-1 and position locations in 112 and 113 and 114. Season line calculation line interference. Theta line rotation interference line position location comes into this set locations into 3 line conditions of 2. 32 line setting, circle line communication, Fibonacci swirl, line rotations, surface line positions into 12 set location settings. Done by equation. All right. So you guys are in a phenomenon of 3 sets and 2. Security over pi. All right. So recognition line setting, the line position location of scales, record line interference in set locations. That's discord line setting. This line, record line rotations, that's locations. set line interference and set location of 0, 0, 0, 0, and 4 set locations. One line center line position of diamond core set line calculation. Now, center calculation is positioned to its new plateau of its UFO line rotation in the scan setting, rotation surface. Now, the rotation line interference is communication line calculation system in its dimensional setting. Height calculation is 12 line into 7, equal line conditions into 5, 5 section line calculations into DNA line calculation line interference into 0, 0 in line communication of 1 into 0, 0 in line communication of 1. Bounce ground line center operation signal and position locations. Now it's signal position line conditions. So platitude of midline interference puts 72 ground lines. 72 ground lines, and now in the ground line rotation interference, magnetic highway information line connection is in a discord line rotation into rotation surface. Setting position location, high center line position locations. Now we take the one line setting. One setting line 111, one setting line 1112, one line setting 113, positions in the calculation system, inline calculation system, diamond core line center calculation system of 114, and center communication into all lines of grounds, powers, set line communication system, and line setting in all calculation. Done by equation. All right. So how to set this up is really understand how to releasing position location of 0 ground line set rotations. All right. So remember, there's 4 line setting line rotations into 3 set locations. All right. And then we get 1 line calculations. So that's 4 lines, 3 lines, and 0 equal locations. At DOSLs, it's 0 equal line conditions high system, 0, 0 equal locations of 1 in set location setting. All right. So the ground's set up now. That's how the ground's set up. Okay. So you take the 0 lines in line interference and 4 set location system, 111, you got 112, 113, and 114 is set location setting. Direction line calculation system, moon into moon set location, 2 line tracks, sector and vector calculation, right? So the 111 is set up, 111 line center is set up vector, 11 line 2 is set up line position sector, 11 line 3 is set up through sector, 11 line 4 is set up through sector, graph line center line rotation interference and set locations, setting position of 11 line 2 position location vector, 113 line center line conditions of vector, and 114 line condition system of vector calculation line conditions. 0 line rotation into a magnetic highway information line of a 2 line rotation interference and 6 over line position locations, equal line condition of 7. Put it together, line interference, 60 line connections into theta line rotation, into a new box line rotation, into grounds, into the powers, into the atmosphere line position location higher setting. Direction time sequence. All right. Now that's all set up. Come by equation. Okay, so let's see here. Timing and all line communications, all levels of recognition of setting locations. Sky grid, relay set explains a few things. Helmets, star. Let's see here. It's good that you guys are getting into all calculations now. Really understand your number sequence patterns. It's all position locations, how we see things, right? So theta is in position to see north, east, south, and west. Yeah, but see, that's exactly how you set things up, the location. Right? How your moon is set up line calculation system and all set line connection system. But you have 2 moon set location settings, right? 1 in line interference and set locations, 1 and 2 line rotation interference, and 3 set locations into new 0, into new 1, into new magnetic highway information setting. The rectangle line calculation comes into all calculation to your earth line rotation and set location setting. Okay, this is your earth line and perception locations to a set location. All right. Now, as you can see, line calculation, right? Now, once you get into that line interference, you infuse position locations in 111, 112, 113, and 114. Set locations summer, spring, winter, and fall. Now, the directional line calculation system comes into all calculations into 1, 2, 3, and 4, into center calculations to your earth. The rotation surface in set locations comes into a higher calculation to a new flux capacitor into an operation surface that opens all position location high setting to 12 DNA. The rotation surface and location setting sets all calculation system into your 12 project locations to your projectors. Setting line calculations, line settings of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and set locations. Done by equation. All right, so we merge 1, 1, 1 and set location of 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, and 1, 1, 4 in set line connection system. Now the ground lines and power direction line connection of nature now is set location of 0 line operation surface. That's in rotation surface line position location and directions. Blocking centers, all right, and set locations. But it's very powerful how we put all the seasons together through moon sets. Okay. And so once you get into position locations, you have to really understand how to set this all up. To set these things up is really understanding how to use it in position locations. So your moon now is in rotations into 12 line setting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 set locations. It's already set up. So the film strip line calculation system is 0 line, rotations in position location. Flux capacitor center, and flux capacitor in the location of the opposite lines. Now, communication line interference line communication system, energy graph line rotation surface. That's 3 position locations, high setting. Satellites and reset locations of relay programs, and set location high interference and set location. Now, the rectangle line calculation system, you got one UFO line, another UFO line. We got 1 line setting in rotation, so we got 4 UFO locations on standby. Center calculation center, in line connection of center, and set location of center position. Operation surface and position location, higher calculation of shield plates and set location line setting. Direction line calculation of 0 line into the laws of ground lines and rotations in the opposite line rotation, a new magnetic highway formation line setting. High calculation system and line connection, a new flux capacitor in set location line setting in its reckoning line calculation setting into 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, and 1, 1, 3, and 1, 1, 4, a new season and a new rotation surface into a new moon setting and high center calculation system into grounds powers in the opposite line setting. Rotation surface locations. 12 DNA track lines is now set up location 24. Computer line centers of all position of probe location of units are set up position. Now the calculation line calculation system comes into 24 line settings in the front and position locations the back. That's 48 signature line strings. Setting line position location of 48 million circles and set location line setting of 0, 1 line position. Open all calculation system, right? So in unit position locations, all calculation line interference, your moon set location of sectors and vectors are now set up to a rainbow graph stream, setting line position locations into your DNA line setting. Projectors over pi recognition high system. So once you get into the projector of light signature line calculation setting, you have to understand how to use 6 over 7 through pi. High calculation system is 67 line signature line calculation systems into sectors and vectors of pi calculation. Open all streams in highest line position location of 12 DNA. Rotation surface to its rainbow graph line center sets all calculation system to a new wave central calculation line setting. 1, 1, 1 position, now alpha, 1, 1 position location in delta, theta, beta, and mega communication line interference, gamma, radiation line cycles and high interference, magna, magnus, line position of gamma, sigma, line calculation setting, and line calculation interference. Line communication system and set location of sectors, vectors and calculation alpha, delta, theta, beta, omega, invisible gamma, line position, radiation line calculation system, magma, magnus, line calculation gamma, sigma, sigma line calculation sigma, high line rotation interference, high calculation line setting line position locations into 24 ground line centers, your moon line rotation into 48 window sets and high calculation line interference, front and back and line communication, 2 side line center line interference, line position location, high setting, but in all calculations back in rotation surface, where your moon is supposed to be in graph line setting, in electrical line communication setting, rotation surface, into a magnetic highway formation setting to new grounds, new powers, new atmospheres of 0, 1 calculation. Done by equation. It's all set. So, it's a lot of interesting lines or ground lines. Really understand how to recognize the communication surface. So you got bracket location settings, right? You got 0, 0, 0, 0, 4. Line connections, high center location of 4 sets, right? Now 4 line centers of 3, 3 line centers of 2, and set locations. So you got 3, 2, and then 6 line calculations to a moon set and rotation surface set location setting. Now the 6 line sets a line position of a cross line string, setting direct locations into all set The 3 crosses over to the opposite side location setting in a rotation surface. So you got 12 line signature line rotation surface line location at all levels of new line rotation into 3 set location settings in set locations. High calculation line interference into travel position locations in set locations. Now the moon line center is sent into position locations in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 set locations. Sending line rotations to a new moon rotations into all calculation set rotation. Sending direct line centers in set location. This is where the sun comes in on standby set locations. Reference line centers, center line rotation interference. Setting direct locations. So sector of the sun communication operation, sun operation line position location at team setting is into activation line stream. Getting in reference line communication system. The sun has to rotate surface, has to understand its angles, has to understand its calculation, has to understand its pi through recognition line calculation setting to all operation surface. Recognition line calculation system comes in high center interference in all communication setting, rotation surface, and the 3 set location setting, rotation settings, high direct location and signal and position. All right, done by equation. All right, so the sun is always going to be in standby. Even on the CPU unit line interference is not activated, it's in operation, which means the CPU unit has to really understand the zero line rotation. Now we got bracket interference, we got zero line rotations of 2 sets position. All right, now the 2 sets line interference sets 3 line set line communication, right? That's 2 over 3. 3 line position locations at 3. 3 center line is communications in position of 2. Center communication into phenomenon in set locations, into line condition of 6, into 7, into theta communication, to a circle line rotation in a new grounds of Fibonacci rotation surface in a diamond core line setting in travel communications into 1 set positions to a box line position location. Okay, done by equation. All right, so I set up the 67 line settings. All right, 7 line position over pi line rotation, 6 lines box line position locations, underscore. This is in position of positive, 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 positive. That's 4 positive line interference. That's 1 line position locations, equal line conditions into 6, 6 line rotations into 7, 7 line positions into 5, 5 line centers at 12, DNA line rotation, set location as setting into vectors and vectors through pi calculation into ground lines of a new 0 rotation surface location setting. Done by equation. So there's a lot of things that are happening through formula. So I'll try to get a basic understanding to immediate understanding to connection to higher advanced setting to know exactly what's happening with your circle locations to your moon, the operation to project locations of 6 lines and 7 line setting. It's all about changing your moon of where it's supposed to be in computer adaptation. The surface and its line communication system has to really recognize its plateau, it has to understand its interference locations of interfacing. You're interlacing your line settings now. So setting communications get you in all calculations in position of formula instead of location. All right. So we all have to understand how to use this through its connections because it's all connected to your settings. So in a 32 line setting instead of locations. All right. So this is where it comes into Pluto, right? Pluto recognizes communications, comes into 2 set line setting. Now the 2 lines in a flux capacitor comes into higher levels of acceleration, line condition to its atom line to its velocity, velocity to its volume to all set location into all levels division line and rotation and other surface locations into also high setting. Now the 12 line rotation of flux capacitor, 12 equals line condition of DNA, DNA line rotation interference, sets position location 12 times 12, that's 24, 24 line significations times 1. Line calculations of 48 line windows, line communication in a 48,000 line stream, and set location to the team set and the high setting. Records of time sequence. All right, so that's set up positional plateau, right? So the team now is out of 24 line settings at grounds. They're in set locations. We start off with the 0 line in 1. You got conditions of 0, 0, 1. Conditions into 0, 0. Calculation system into 1. Into line conditions of 0, 0, 0, calculation of 0, 1 set location. Okay. So we start with the line interference, setting position locations into 48. Now that 48 sets line communications into bracket line calculation system to your diamond core setting, Merkabah position locations into your tesseract line position locations into measure into scale into balance and set locations. High center line interference into earth line rotation setting in set location system. Center line, ground lines, rotation surface, magnetic highway into one communication set rotation. All right. Now, how to set this up is really understand how to use the 48 line setting. Now that's 0 line rotation into computer operation of 72 line signals. 72, see? 72. 72 crosses line calculations and 3 set locations into line communication 144 and set setting. That's the recognition line calculation system. Graph lines into the center calculation to its atom line and rotates the surface location, right? Recognition line calculation to a magnetic highway information to a new ground line center rotation 144 crosses signals and set location. Now, high center calculation system, your Earth starts to rotate surface to higher calculation in position locations. All right, so your Earth is now in surface, traveling to higher calculation in position to set lines. Okay. Now, once you understand the formula and center location of 48, you understand the 72 line signals. The connections on the 144 change to the grounds. Now the rotation surface, we go in position locations. Now the 144 sets line calculations in line connections of 111, position locations of 112, and position locations of 113, and position locations of 114, and set locations, right? So you got the summer lines, you got the spring lines, you got the connections all levels of high setting. Summer, spring, and they got winter calculations, and 114 is the fall set location. It's already set up. Now, this lines its communication to your moon. The moon sets line position locations into 1, 2, 3 set location, right? Now, the moon sets line calculation system. Now, we take the 144 into center line. Now, that's 6 line calculations over factor, okay? Now, the over factor line centers line conditions of pi in calculus in set locations. All right. Now the recognition line calculation system stays in 144. That sets line the new flux pass line position locations. That's 3 over line setting, 6 over line position, and 7 in calculations into 9. 9 calculation settings. So we take the 9 line interference, 12 line position of 3, 3 positions of 5, 5 position locations into 7, 7 position locations into, you guessed it, 12 line signature line interference, sets position location to your DNA line rotations into vectors in vectors of high calculation system and direct signals in high calculation. Done by equation. All right. This is a very high formula, but this has to be done. Okay. So all I'm doing is basically putting the moon sets and high line in positions to its T reception line into theta. The imagination and the placebo cortex line calculation system is changing all set lines. How you see your graph line setting in line interference is open up more theta communication to your T reception lines of 0 into power recognition line conditions high setting in direct location to its antenna and then direct location. That's all it is. That's all we're doing, right? T reception lines, 3 dials, 1, 2, 3, see through locations, right? So 0 line, rotation surface, and set location setting. Now, the rotation line interference is position of 3. Now 3 and 2 line rotation, right? So that's 3 sets line communication into 2. Okay, that's a Z line. Okay, Z line is line communications and high center interference when it comes into 1 UFO line rotation, sending calculations to all levels of grounds, rotation surface into higher calculations into a circ line in communication to a satellite into a new set high connection in direction. Done by equation. So you have to understand how to use the 32 line signature lines of phenomenon and channel operation to its surface location is 67 line settings. Now, once we get you guys into 68, you'll be in a full rotation in the moon line rotation to its infinity cycles into set location. Really recognize the communications when you come into higher calculations to how you see yourself in your phenomenons of your atmosphere calculation settings. You have to recognize all communication system to all levels when it comes into 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1 in set location setting. Recognition calculation line interference is really understanding how to use the 144 line calculation system. That's 1 line setting in position of pi. Okay, and that's 4 line calculation system in position of pi. And set location, another line calculation, the 4 line setting locations of pi set location setting. Okay, that's how you split the 144 is set locations. Now, you really have to understand how this works through pi now, because pi is in calculation. Pi equals line condition 1, 1, 1. That's set up line position of 3 in set locations, right? Now, coming into line communication system, you downshift line settings and line interference into vortex chamber line calculation system into 4 line signatures. That puts position location into 1, 1, 2 in set locations, right? Line calculation line interference comes in position location higher set line calculations into security 2, 2, 2 in set line setting. Bracket and line interference is 2, 4, 6 location setting. That's moon operation surface, guys, in set location. Now, in line calculation system, we downshift line setting into DNA track line. Now, line interference comes into 1 locations. So, line communication system comes in all calculations 1, 1, 3, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1 in set location setting. Reckon's line calculation system comes into direct location system. Now, once you get into 113, it sets lines of communication to pi line. The operation to a system opens up calculations to 222. Line communications, right? So that's 2 over 4, 4 over 1, and 1 over 2. Sending calculation line interference into 222 track lines in position location to Pluto. Rection and calculation line settings bounce all communications to your seasons of position location in summer, spring, winter, and fall. It's all set up locations into your 144 and set lines in a graph line setting and rotation surface in 12 DNA track location. Down by equation. All right. So what's happened now is that your moon is set up through sectors and vectors through seasons. It's all set up, right? See, this is but understanding what the moon has to be in a rotation surface. It has to recognize its rotation. It's like when you look at a tree, you know exactly what it's doing through its seasons, right? It knows exactly what's going on with the summer, spring, winter, and fall. It knows how to change the signature line settings when it comes in project locations of light signatures and everything through its shadows. Reckon's location is its lights. Reckon's location is its shadows. Line communication to its rotation surface is understanding the pixel stream into 1 calculation line calculation setting into 144 DNA track location. Okay, very, 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 very high-rise formula. It's set lines of communication to your moons of sector and vector pi of position locations into 144 into 4 seasons in set line calculations. 24 signature patterns into CPU and 48 windows in set location of team setting, because you guys are nanosets. But the recognition kit, the moon line, has to understand the project locations over pi, underscore line setting, overlapping set location, set line interference, opens all set locations into your connections, because your 144 is line connections of 244 in set location setting. That's 2 over line, 4 over sequence, and 4 over pi into the line position to your solar line position locations into higher calculations into your UFO line rotation and surface location settings in set location. Okay. So we all have to know how to use our number sequence patterns, the recognition line calculation setting. So all calculations of the sectors of the moon is all set up, okay, into rotation surface that's connected to its own window dressing. Now, window dressing is understanding how to use the plasma channel to digital frame to its reception location of line signature. This opens up all calculation setting, getting you guys ready for theta of its imagination. Higher formation of count lines and record location time setting opens all signal locations, all right? So your moons are all set up location of sector and position of vector and calculation line settings into a new lacing line, a new T reception line. Calculations into new Wi-Fi, new modem, new satellite calculation settings, into 12 DNA and rotation surface, into all levels of coloration of a rainbow. All set position locations into your seasons. For calculation line setting is in a rotation surface into the 0 grad line setting rotation. Your moon has to really recognize all levels of zeros and ones. All calculation set lines sets position location to all seasons and all 1 line signature and 1 clock in line setting all at once. Okay, so it's all recognition of 12 DNA, bringing all position locations into 1 sector, all its locations into 1 vector, right? So you're taking 12 lines of coloration into 1 setting, all clocking all in 1 setting, all seasons all in 1 setting. So the seasons recognizes the moon, as the moon recognizes your 12 DNA, that's your pixel activation location that comes in its correlation. The travel position location comes into higher setting. The moon recognition line calculation is a rotation surface that opens all calculation line in position location 1288 that laces its position location into all computer operation line connections to a new type of location of channel. The operation surface puts all calculation line interference into your sectors and vectors through your theta information of your imagination. Higher levels of channel position locations. Okay? So I'm going to show you the easy way and position locations so you understand a little bit more how it gets complicated. But I tried to get you into balance to know exactly what's happening with you so you understand how this works. Okay? What's happening with your body. Okay? Every time you get up in sigma, every time you get up in alpha, delta, theta, beta, omega, magnum, gamma, sigma. Okay, anything that's a location. It's about understanding how to use the digital line connections to your moon to all calculation line interference. Your moon has to understand you through all calculation your 12 DNA of what it's doing through its cell modification system. Now, the cell modification system gets more understanding what your cells are doing. They're recognizing all calculations to your theta. That's open at all position locations, how you see yourself, right? Today, we're in line calculation 67 and line communication. Tomorrow, line rotation service, we come into 68. And again, once we reach 70 line calculation and interference, it's all 70 to 80 to set locations of theta and set locations. Once you get into 75, the balanced location of your theta opens up a new heart generation line stream and set location, a new data port and set location setting. This opens all calculating line interference. And once you reach 80 communication setting, you come into your zoom through pi calculation. Okay, so getting a complete cycle is the set locations when you come into all levels. Summer, spring, winter, and fall. It's now set up to 0 locations in one setting. It's all set location. So that's how you set signals and set location in your settings. All right, so your body understands the modification, understands the circulation, the rotations, the circulatory line calculation, line stream, the positions to your alphabetical line calculations, your keyboards, your keyframes, your key lines, and your key calculation through pi through set location settings. All right. All right, so we'll discuss more on Zoom. All right, but that's it for line communication setting and rotation service. All right. All right, so 5 to 10 minutes. I'll see you guys on Zoom. Adios.